Ghana is likely to lose more than $100 million in additional revenue due to non-processing of all the raw cashew nuts in the country. And this is a resource we have. But what layers can we add to it? There's more in this report.
Cashew industry is widely considered by many cashew industry experts as one of the most promising in Africa. Ghana currently produces about 200 tons of raw cashew nuts, according to official data from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and is among the best quality cashew nut producers in the world. But the sector over the years has been bedeviled by so many challenges.
A lot of difficulties in terms of, improving their livelihoods, in terms of income, earning income, in terms of getting themselves employed, to be able to put food on the table. Very, very great challenge. And as, people, as human beings, our main, I think source of earnings you should either be employed or you can be self-employed. Maybe as a farmer or as an entrepreneur engaged in some kind of business. But for disabled people, there are no opportunity to be able to get those opportunities to engage themselves, to free themselves. In fact, most times physically challenged people in Sierra Leone particularly, what they do is to go begging on the street.
I think the cashew sector is dominated in the processing part by women. I manage a factory that has 2,000 women. That has 2,000 employees. 95% of them are women. So the processing business is already dominated by women. My advice will be for the farmers, the production sector, where we don't have a lot of representation of women. The production is still male dominated because in Africa, it's very difficult for women to have access to land. So that's been one of the handicaps for women.
According to the Ghana Export Promotion Authority in 2021, it is estimated that Ghana loses between $30 million to $100 million every year in additional revenues due to not processing all the raw cashew nuts produced in the country. Experts are worried about the persistent challenges confronting farmers.
And the state of processing plants in Ghana is nothing to write home about. Virtually all the processing plants have closed down, except a few that are producing few thousands. In fact, currently Ghana exports almost 95% of all its production as raw nuts, and it is not good for the industry. And the reason being that our processing capacity is now gone down, and our processors also don't have the needed finance to stock the nuts for the whole year, and therefore those farmers also have to sell to people who can buy and pay them. And that is a challenge the processors are facing. If the processors have finance, especially from the financial institutions that will support them, then they can process throughout the year. But if a processor taking a loan at 35, 45, 55%, it's no-go zone. It is nothing to write home about. That is what is really, really, really collapsing the industry. We don't have long-term finance for the processing sector, and that is a big challenge.
The Ghana Cashew Council alluded that although Ghana's raw cashew nuts enjoys distinct advantages over other producers, challenges such as high raw cashew nut prices and lack of access to affordable finance remain key impediment factors in the underutilization of the country's processing factories to generate additional revenues.
We won't say we have been neglected, because all these years that we have been running, Ministry of Agriculture has supported us in the research, in the distribution, and in even the propagation. But if there's any place that has been regretted, it's from the financial institution. The financial institutions don't really understand the cashew sector, and for that matter, they are not making long-term finance available. If you give a trader a loan at 45% turnover 1 month, and you give that same loan to a processor turnover 1 year, the processing company will collapse. We have been engaging with some of the financial institutions for them to understand really the culture of cashew processing. Some have understood, but they are yet to make the impact of releasing funding for the sector. But at the moment, we are also talking to our development partners like SECO, like GIZ, to support the sector. In fact, SECO last year even supported with machinery so that processing can go on very well. But there's still the issue of inadequate finance for stocking and stocking for the production process.
Some foreign experts are stressing on the need for Ghana to develop favorable policies to help unearth the huge potential of cashew urging authorities to emulate the example of Vietnam, which has the most competitive cashew industry in the world.
Program which we recommend to all professionals in the value chain, from public sector or from private sector, because it's really important to understand the chain, to understand the linkages, the production area, the commercialization of cashew, but also we let's say transmit specific skills, how to motivate people, how to moderate sessions and so on, to be a good professional in the cashew value chain.
Based on your observation over the years, what are some of the key challenges you guys have seen within the value chain?
Yeah, key challenges in the value chain is that have been mentioned also in the workshop, in the speeches in the beginning. One is to increase the transformation, the processing of cashew here in the African countries. I think that is really a challenge because most of the cashew is still processed in the Asian countries. The sustainability issues, so we have to look for cashew which is produced sustainability, that is sustainable, which is really a requirement from the European and the American markets. So it shall be free, for example, of pesticide residues or of child labor, so that has specific dimensions. And in the future we need really full traceable value chains also for cashew. To get the access to the European market especially.
What is the role of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to increase the productivity and efficiency of farmers in the cashew value chain by improving crop quality and strengthening the capacity of cooperatives, farmer associations, nursery operators, and input suppliers, as well as boost cashew trade by improving harvest and post-harvest techniques, addressing gaps in data collection, and improving supply chain linkages?
The Ministry of Food and Agriculture is mainly focused on the policy environment for the farmers to have their agriculture thrive. And for cashew, it's part of the tree crops development program that the ministry has rolled out through the establishment of the Tree Crops Development Authority. So all that is needed to make sure that the cashew industry thrives are being implemented by the Tree Crops Development Authority. Government has given them that role to play, from production up to the financing of production activities. All are inclusive, so they will be taking care of that.
Are you guys monitoring what is happening at the tree crop development?
They surely they report to the Minister of Food and Agriculture.
But it seems the challenges still persist.
The challenges persist. That is why they have been brought to find solutions to it. They are being resourced to do what they have to do. They are working with the development partners to get the resources and then the support also that is needed.
Processing cashew in Africa is said to be growing fast since 2016. This development has been attributed to the conducive governmental policies, new technologies, and market-lead initiatives.
Going to this year, I think we may even lose more, because as at January 2024, there were 150 registered cashew buying companies with GCNet. And so these companies were all scrambling for the little production. Our production is just roughly around 30,000 metric tons. And if all these 150 companies are buying even 10,000 metric tons, everything is gone. And they are buying it at a premium, at a higher price, which our processors cannot compete. And once you don't process, you don't add value. When we add value, we sell the cashew 5-6 times more than the raw nuts. And that is where we are running into difficulties with so the few processing companies, local processing companies, currently I'll say it's only one that is doing very well at based in Afenya, Winker, that is doing very well, but because it's getting support from the sector, and it's also taking advantage of donor resources. But the rest are minor processing companies that are processing less than 100 metric tons a year, less than 200 metric tons a year, and it's nothing to write home about.
But the situation in Ghana does not reflect the general growth trajectory on the continent. For Joy Business, James Ishen.